way you walk, the way you talk, and the happy way you carry yourself. And I always appreciate every opportunity to get to talk with you because you're a born teacher and you always make me smile, man. So, and you're going to talk about skills to inherit part of the Paul Wheaton program or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Right. Have fun. I'll be here listening to you. So,
okie dokie. Okay, folks, my name is Harry Albright. I'm known in Living Free in Tennessee group and the Spiritual group and all that kind of stuff as Hogeye Harry because I run Hogeye Farm in Hogeye, Texas. And we raised and sold red wattle pigs, Texas red wattle pigs. And so it's just progressed that I'm called Hogeye. And what I'm here to talk about is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's what are you going to do with your property when you start getting old? Now, I have quite a few years to look at before I'm doing that, but I'm early planner. And I have 60 plus acres in rolling East Texas, piney woods, oaks and pines around there. We have a home that we bought in '99 and we've expanded it twice. And currently we are raising quail for meat and eggs. And as of this afternoon, I just started in rabbits because I got a boatload on from Kerry. And so we'll be doing other things too. But we teach homesteading and self-sufficiency things at our house. We've had classes there since COVID started, and we try to teach people how to take care of themselves because I firmly believe it's better to feed your neighbors than to have to shoot them. It's just, I have a backhoe, but I don't want to keep it that busy. But what I'm doing here is something that Paul Wheaton and his group up in the Permian bunch in Montana came up with a concept called SKIP, and that's skills to inherit property. And I'm going to go a little further and I'll deviate back so you'll catch up what's going on here. But this is what it is. And what you see on top is what we call bit badges. Think of Boy Scouts and merit badges. There's 22 different topics here that are key skills that are important if you're a homesteader or a self-sufficient type person. And everything from gardening, plumbing, electrical work, remedies, maintenance, just all kinds of stuff. But we'll get into that. The potential audience for this, and that's why you're here, is aging people looking to perpetuate their lifestyle, people looking to buy, own, or manage land, people building communities, homeschoolers and grandparents of homeschoolers, and entrepreneurs. This is in the early stage. This is just a few years old. It has not fully grown yet, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. It's entirely free. It costs no money for anyone in the process. It's a way to connect people with other people. The benefits to the skipper. This is the person that earns the skip badges and the bits and stuff like that. It gets you the possibility to obtain land that you would not otherwise have access. It helps you develop skills. It helps you develop a sense of accomplishment, and it gets you a path out of the rat race. The benefits to population in general, it reduces the carbon footprint, and that's a big thing. It reduces petroleum production, toxic footprint, and reduces the dependency of people on the current systems. The benefits to Otis, and Otis is the farmer, the old guy that's looking to what's going to happen to his property. It lets him pass his property to someone that's worthy of it. It lets you hire someone that's worthy, rent somebody, and another way to build a community. Okay. We'll get to this part in a minute. Okay, the concept came based on Michael Ehlert. Michael was the guy that wrote the book on how to build the $5 underground house. And then his second book how to build the $50 underground house, because he was self-sufficient. He built a house underground. It was cooled by the earth. He had windows, and he would cook outside his window on a shelf out there because it was hot inside the house. It was a very small house. It was just a dugout type thing with multiple layers. And it was an experiment to see what he could do and learn, see if it could do that. And it worked. And he built a bigger one, the $50 house. And he used property, assets he found on his property. He harvested timbers from his property. He charred the ends of the timbers and preserved them before he dug them and put them in a hole so they wouldn't rot off and fall on his head and all that kind of stuff. But he developed a lot of skills in his whole life that he thought were valuable. And when he got old, he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his property. And over his lifetime as a farmer, he had hired or employed or work shared with at least over 100 interns or people on his property. And none of them were deemed to be worthy of his property to buy it or leave it as an inheritance to, because either they didn't have the smarts necessary, they didn't have the stamina necessary for this kind of life, they didn't have the desire, they weren't motivated, or just flat didn't have the skills. And he was worried what to do about that. And it wound up that when he died, there was nobody in his family that was interested in continuing this. And so the property wound up getting sold, the money divided among the heirs, and it became a commercial property of the land. So that homesteading, self-sufficient whole entity was lost. And that touched the mind and heart of Paul Wheaton. And for those of you that don't know Paul Wheaton, that's a whole nother can of worms to get into. So research that. But Paul came up with the idea of putting together a system to help quantify the skills of people along this line. And he came up with 20 different categories of things that people needed to know how to do. And how many of you are familiar with Boy Scouts, like that, where you earn merit badges and that sort of stuff? This is a similar concept. And the terms that they use here, and I'll explain that, then we'll get into a little bit deeper how it works. A PEP is a permaculture experience according to Paul. This is the basic framework and guidelines that Paul Wheaton and his group set out and quantified. Now, you can have other things. You can do they're certified by things, and these are badges, the subject things. And each little thing you do toward that badge is called a badge bit. And the more badges you get, you work up different levels: air, straw, wood, iron, like the Star Life and Eagle Scouts and stuff, the Boy Scouts and stuff like that. So that's the way this is set up. The skills were defined by Paul and his crew. This is the first iteration of things, and that's why it's PEP. Now, there's another one that's in the works right now, and it's called P, Permaculture Experience for Apartment People. Because if you're in an apartment, you're not going to build a 7-foot hugelkultur thing in the courtyard, because they'll throw you out.
Not more than once.
Huh?
Not more than once.
That's right. They'll throw you out. And so there are skills that are tweaked for that type of thing. You can have a PEH, Permaculture Experience According to Harry or Hogeye, where I would set forth a list of things that were appropriate for our geographical location and appropriate for our systems. For example, we're not going to deal with ice, snow loads, and stuff like that in East Texas. We don't have ice that lasts more than 7 days, and that's on a hard year. So that's not really an issue to focus on. But knowing how to deal with heat and humidity It's something more appropriate for our thing than it is in Paul's Missoula, Montana area. So our things that we may say are really important may be tweaked a little bit different than Paul's. Does that make sense? Are we caught up on that level now? Okay, now we'll go a little bit further. The categories of things that are important that Paul defined are gardening, tool care, textiles, animal care, electricity, oddballs, foraging, rocket, and that's heat for different types of systems, plumbing, just all these kinds of things. And each of them has a little different shaped bed. Oddball is an 8-ball. That's the symbol for that. And what you do, this winds up being a digital resume. And the way they have this set up is that you tell people what you're going to do, put it in writing, you can do it in a little forum post, and you'll have pictures of your stuff that you're going to use and you. For example, in woodworking, round woodworking, you make a mallet, a rough mallet, and you'll hold a stick about 4 inches in diameter, about this long. And you'll say, I'm going to make a mallet. And then you show a picture or two of you in process of doing that so that we know that the mallet you come up with is the stick you show. You didn't go down to the hardware store and buy a woodworker's mallet. You show you carving it down, and then you'll show a picture of the finished mallet with you doing something with it, hitting something with it. And you'll take those photographs and your explanation and submit it to the forum. And the people that have already done this stuff, the volunteers, will say, yes, you did that, and that's a satisfactory mallet. And you get certified to have that bit. And so you're under your profile there, it's certified that you got that bit for that woodworking badge. Okay? So it is, think of stuff on the blockchain. How many are familiar with blockchain? This is recorded and can't be altered unless you screw something up with permies and they erase your profile. But it's there. You can't, once you publish that, you can't go back and tweak it. You can't show that that was a mahogany mallet when it was just an oak mallet. You can't do that. It's there. So how many of you on Converse thing have ever dealt with people with a resume for a job where it said they saved the world and cured 3 different types of cancer on their resume, but the people that saw that have died now, and there's no way to check it out. This is verifiable because it's documented at that time and it's there. So if I die, if Paul dies, or somebody gets hit by a truck, it's still there. So this is a way, if you are a landowner or something, you can go back and check. David said he did this. Well, let's go back and look at it. And so then I go searching through David's things on there. And yeah, David looks like he could learn how to pour water out of a boot. Yeah, with a little cultured training. But that's what this is. This is a digital record of verification of projects you can do. And now I'm going to get into some examples for gardening. For example, some of the things you have to do to get certified under Paul's PEP thing for gardening is you have to build a hugelkultur bed. Yay big. And it says in there, you have to do roost out type composting. Document before, during, and after. That's where you have deep litter stuff, not litter, but compost or mulch or something like that. And you take your stuff, you pull back. This is your compost from your kitchen, dump it in there and cover it up. And then later you plant in the same area. It's just no dig thing because you have a deep compost and cover all over everything. Direct seed perennials. You grow and harvest X number of calories. You chop and drop 50 foot of cover crops. You save seeds. You build a food forest. And it gets larger on your projects and more detailed the higher your level goes up. For example, in round woodworking, you make a club style mallet. You make a compound mallet where you have a handle and then you put a head on it. Dry wood head, green wood handle, They go together, and then the greenwood shrinks and it locks it on it. 3-log bench, 2 short logs sideways, 1 log on top, flat on top so it doesn't roll off. That's it there. Shaving horse, these things. These are skills that show it's a proof of work type thing. You should before, during, and after, and do this. It's certified by the volunteers. And your profile shows that you've done all this stuff. Are we following how this works so far? And you can go to permies.com and get examples of things. And now it's questions. So we're in our 45 minutes.
You do good.
But my thought on this is, if I want to sell my property, I would really not rather have it go to be a RV park or a subdivision. Our neighbor, 2 driveways down, sold a 200-acre property first of this year. And I was down talking to our water company people, and they said, oh yeah, that 200-acre property is now going to be a 160-house subdivision. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled at that. The traffic on my road is bad right now. That's going to really make it fun. But I would really prefer to see my property go there. I have 1 daughter. She lives in Houston. She's a pharmacy tech. And she has absolute no desire to do a permaculture farm or type place as we have or doing like that. So she's not going to get it. So I need to figure out what I would do with that. I could just pack up and sell it and then get me an RV or whatever and just travel the world or US and do that. I'm not really interested in doing that. I'm pretty happy where I am and dealing with what I'm doing. But I could sell off part of it and have a good cash money, but I really can't take it with me. I'm pretty comfortable with what I've got now. So I'm really hard pressed to figure out what to do with that and keep it going, because anybody can come up to me and say, hey, I'm a homesteader. I want your property. I want to come do this. I'm motivated. Sell it to me. And I don't know that you were really motivated for that or motivated for the current land prices. That would 62 acres in Northeast Texas would make a nice chunk of money. Mm-hmm. So, y'all know about the property down the road here to the east, about a quarter mile, almost half mile down. There's a place, if you go north on here, up the road, back, like you're going back to the holler, keep on going on the left, there's a for sale sign up there.
With some mobile homes or motor homes on it.
Yeah, there's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and a couple places on there. I think it's about 5 acres. I think it's been listed for $500,000.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So run up there and buy it if you want to be close to the holler. But it's a difficult thing as a property owner with homesteading type stuff in mind, because there's no more property. Somebody owns all of it one way or another. And what's being sold now is being chopped up left and right. Sold to city people that think they know what they're getting into. And we all know, as once having lived somewhere else than the current place we're living, that most city people have no clue what's involved with taking care of themselves, because we all know that the city conveniences are not convenient if you're not in the city. And mostly they're not existent. So you have to sort of kind of take care of yourself. And you have 2 ways of doing that. Either you can actually take care of yourself, or you can pay 2 arms and 3 legs for somebody else to take care of you. And that shifts the mindset of taking care of to a monetary service industry rather than actually caring for you. How many of you deal with people in nursing homes or assisted livings or something like that in your life in any shape, fashion?
I used to.
How many of you think that's where you would really love to spend the last part of your quality years? Okay, yeah. So that's what would happen if you sold your property to somebody that's totally motivated by money, or you hired a caregiver to take care of you. It would be a money-driven thing rather than a spirit or emotional-driven thing. And that's what we're trying to do, is to get that emotional and spiritual mindset that we deal with this, sort of like the permaculture principles and all that kind of stuff, that the spirit and the body and the system come first, and that's what you take care of by these skills rather than just chase the dollar. And that just seemed to be a coherent concept. Have I gotten off it totally in the weeds on this sort of thing?
Good.
Okay. This is something that I see could be a foundation for educating people. Think kids, think people that have already made the jump from this get out of the city to a place, and now they say, what do I do? Because they're overwhelmed. They feel like they're being challenged with a fire hose as far as learning stuff. This is something that you can not spend any money doing. You spend some time, sweat, thought, planning, and effort, and you get a huge benefit. How many of you have gone to college and achieved a student debt? Okay. How many of you, if you were asked today, was that debt worth the value you got for it? Or just a yes or no answer. Was it truly worth dollar for dollar value? Or is it close?
It's tough. The intangibles were worth it. Honestly, I've said this to my kids. I said, don't go to university if you don't have to. But I would say the value that I learned was how to learn. But I would have learned that eventually anyhow. As far as the cost and the debt that I took out on the other end, it was not worth it.
Okay.
But I did definitely pull some things.
Okay. Oh, I'm not saying
No.
you're not going to learn things by going to college. I just need to know. I'm going to ask you: was a dollar for dollar blood value? Did you get a good exchange for your money?
Oh no, and at this point today, for the cost of it, would be even less. But yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely not.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would say the way I did it is no.
Okay. As we get more automated and mechanized in the system, skills are going to become much more valuable and much more expensive to purchase. A plumber coming out to your house, one arm, electrician come out, the other arm. You have the AC guy come out, you got a leg, and then you're like the guy in Monty Python. It's just a wound, flesh wound.
It's a flesh wound.
Yes. So, and we can only sustain so many flesh wounds by selling eggs. You know.
We have 2 questions from the online
Okay.
audience. One is, what's the best skill to start with in your opinion?
Okay.
And
Best deal to start
Skill.
with?
skills
Skill.
of the skills list. Sorry,
That's
I
fine.
know East Texas, West
You're
Texas, we're having communication
Okay.
issues, right? And the other one is, you mentioned you have classes at your farm.
Yeah.
How does someone come and learn from you?
you're out of luck. We no longer hold the classes because too many people were not interested. But contact me, hogeyfarm@protonmail.com. Tell me who you are and what your interest is, because this is going out on the internet. I don't want everybody and this dog who wants to tell me about my car insurance to contact me on that. But tell me who you are, what you're interested in, and being part of this community, I can probably hook you up with somebody close to you because we're in East Texas. And if you're living close to Tim, you're not going to come down to my classes every month. That would be a bad choice. But we can hook you up with some things. But as far as what skills to start with, all these things up here are different. Woodworking, things. Pick one. It doesn't matter. Start with something. Take that first step. I don't care if it's gardening, plant a seed, whatever. Take something you don't know. Do anything. And the first step I would say would be to go to permies.com, sign in, it's free, get a profile, and go to the forum about Skip and read and learn. Because you can make a much better informed decision on what steps you take if you know what's involved. Don't go down to a university and sign up for a Bachelor of Arts degree in social studies and sign up without knowing where you're going with that. If you don't have a goal, you're not going to get there. You'll get other places before you get whatever you think you want to do. But if you don't know, you need to have a plan. I can't tell anybody what you need to learn. But if we spend half an hour together sometime, I can probably point you in a direction that you have an interest in and help you out do that. And that's one of the things you can learn by coming to these workshops, because you will meet a myriad of different backgrounds and experiences and skill sets and knowledge bases. And we're all different. And we all work together like brothers and sisters. And sometimes we fight, but it's done freely. But we help each other out. And knowledge is something we freely share, because all of us that have done some of this have had bad experiences and difficult experiences we would rather somebody else not have to go through. So it's a bad joke. I still miss my ex-wife, but I'm working on my aim type thing. We don't want you to have to go through some of the things we've gone through, because we know now there are easier and better and more efficient ways to learn it. This is a really, really good thing to learn. So go here as a step, do this, buy the book. Cheat book is a book called Skip. It's really easy to remember. It's a program, it's what we're talking about, Skip. And Paul also has another thing there that I think you can download free of more examples and details of projects to do. But you don't have to do these exact things, but to get the Paul PEP thing, because that's what Paul does up there, that's what you can do. But you can get certified as doing tons of things that somebody in a different part of the country do. You're not going to be dealing with ice and snow if you live in a tropical zone, tropical area. If you live in South Florida, you're not going to have to worry about ice cold stuff. But then again, if you're in ice cold stuff, you're not going to be trying to grow bananas up there and that sort of stuff. So you're going to have different things. So you need to learn what's appropriate for your area, and don't get bogged down in the minutiae. Learn how to do the physical things. Learn how to grow a plant. Get it from a seed to a plant that you can harvest from. And you need to make 2 different harvests. You need to have the fruit or whatever you're growing, and then you need to capture the seed or cuttings or something so you can procreate that, so you can continue it going. That's 2 things you should do if you're going to grow something. And the same thing with animals. If you're going to get an animal, grow an animal, you need to at least start it, get one. Don't start with babies. If you're going to get in chickens, buy a sitting hen, a live hen, and let it grow and lay eggs, and you capture the eggs and you keep it alive. Keeping it alive is the hard part, because if you don't have proper security for it, something will eat it, because everything in the world likes chicken. So you got to keep it alive, then get some eggs. You may have to get a rooster if you want to hatch eggs, because it does take two to get fertile eggs. Some people don't realize that. If you do not have a rooster with your hens for at least 2 months, then the eggs after that will not be fertile. And you can hatch them all you want to, but they're not going to give you chickens. They're going to give you rotten eggs. So you need to learn that. So learn to get something, grow it, and harvest it. Animals, that's your decision how you want to deal with harvesting animals. If you want to sell them for show, rabbits or something like that, or chickens, I don't suggest you raise chickens as game birds for cockfighting, because that's kind of frowned on. And so you'll probably tell them that wouldn't be a good thing to do. You also probably should not grow corn and put it in a bucket and let it get hot and then make car fuel and then try to drink that. I wouldn't recommend doing that either.
I would.
But there are things that you can experiment with and be careful about. Don't be stupid. And one of the things that we try to teach is don't do stupid things in stupid places with stupid people. Do stupid things in stupid places with smart people. That's what's the key. Any other questions?
We got about 5 minutes, but I was going to ask one. You mentioned about being able to hire volunteer labor.
Yeah.
Does that go both ways? So is that a way that potential students can go and learn? So I'm thinking like a hugel mound or hugel
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
Not everybody's going to be building one of them in their
Right. Right.
quarter acre lot, right?
Right.
So
There are what's known as skip events. It's like what we call here GSD weekends, where somebody is going to hold an event on a property or a common ground, a common garden, and they're going to build a hugel mound, and they'll publish it, and the people all come out and participate in that, and you can gain credit for that, because you're going to stand there and say, we're going to put one right here. We're going to dig a hole this deep, and it's going to be this high when we get done. And these are the logs, and this is the compost, and this is all the stuff we're going to be sticking there. And they take pictures of the process. Bare ground, background's identifiable. It'll be the same background later. I'm not going to take a bunch of blank, horizon stuff and just there and say, oh, magic, we have a 10-story building here or a hugel mound. No, it's got to be practical. That, and 10 different people can do that at the same time. You can get a whole herd of people doing that, and then you submit it, and they give you the blessing. And then once, the way it works at Paul's is that once you have done X number of things to a certain level, then you are expected as part of the community to verify the new people that are coming up towards your level. It's a self-procreating community of workers. Does that sound reasonable? People helping out each other. Wow, isn't that a novel thought? Instead of talking each other down and doing stuff. But that's what that is.
Okay, I think there might have been one. We probably got time for
Yeah, I
one
did
more.
have another question here. Well, it's sort of an observation. So I'm looking at the icons, just even looking at these icons up here, and thinking to myself, well, there seems to be a theme of what Jack describes as if times get tough, or even if they don't, these things are going to help you out.
Yeah.
So even if you look at it and go, that's a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
I can't learn all that. Like, well, they're going to help you out if times get tougher, even if they don't.
Yeah.
And also just looking at the icons, I'm going, and maybe it speaks to the question earlier of what to start with. I'm looking at a dripping faucet. I say I have a dripping faucet in my house. Well, maybe that's a new skill I can learn. And then I look at the list of what they have, and I start taking pictures of before and
Exactly.
after.
That would come under plumbing.
Videos on how to do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I need to make some money, and I go look at the
Yeah,
ones under the dollar sign
yeah.
there.
pick what interests you. But the first thing you do is go here and look at some of this stuff and see what's available. And there's nothing to say that this is the limit. This is what Paul has thrown together. You could have something here if you are a communications person, radio, where you don't have to necessarily design and build a radio because your name's not Marconi, but that's the guy who invented radio for the people that didn't get the joke. Build radio and communicate with different people around. And that would be easy as getting a car
Ham license.
QSL. Yeah, ham license.
It's not that hard.
Yeah,
I got
it's
one.
not hard. Radio would be one thing. If you are somebody that's good at helping people document things and videoing, you might do what Rebecca's doing. You might take some videos and then expand into the sound, different levels of things and recording and stuff like that. There is probably a baseline amount of money you can make in that type of a job. But you're not going to make a fortune right first day one, more than likely.
No, not unless you're like an instant, success on Instagram or something, and that'll be short-lived. So you better save that money and do something with it.
Yeah. Most things in life take a while to develop.
Anything worth doing does.
Because if they don't, then you have to send me your $200 and I'll tell you how you need to do to make money. Okay? Don't do that. It doesn't work, I know. Any other questions? Any other wishes for something like this or thoughts? Does this sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
I know it's skills to inherit property, but it also seems like if that wasn't necessarily your goal, it will still help you develop the skills to homestead
Well,
and
let's rephrase this for the second. How not to be an idiot or dumbass. Because if you don't know how to do anything, if you don't know how to change a light bulb, if you don't know how to stop a faucet leak, if you don't know what to do when someone runs a dump truck into the transformer pole down on the corner of the street and takes your lights out, and you don't have lights and your freezer stops, and you just bought a bunch of steaks and put them in your freezer, and you're in your apartment or your little house there, and you don't know what to do, what are you going to do 36 hours later when that still hasn't been fixed, and you're standing there at your freezer watching stuff drip out the bottom? There are better situations. This can help you design your life the way you want it, because if you don't, somebody else is designing it for you. So if you're a parent, think of these as skills that your kids need to know. If you're a grandparent, this is what you need to be teaching as the old folks teaching the grandkids stuff that they know. Because your grandkid, when they can go over somebody's house and show them how to use an inverter and get their fridge going or their air conditioning going and the power's out, is a whole lot more valuable to the person than saying, would you like fries with that? Because if you can do that, people will hire you to do all kinds of other things. Because if you're smart enough to do that, you're smart enough to do so many things. So, yes, if you want to get a deep appreciation and a safer, resilient lifestyle, learn this sort of stuff. Just plan it for yourself. Nobody says you have to go get a communication degree at a college and spend $200,000 on that. Do something here and communicate with your neighbors directly. They will appreciate it and they will reward you. And it makes your life easier. It really does.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. So it's like being the last guy to talk in the afternoon, so you did great. It made me kind of think I'd like to take some of these anyway, just for the skills, even about,
It's good stuff to think about.
If only you knew a guy to teach you all that kind of stuff.
I know. If I find somebody, I'll let you know. But I hear that Kerry Brown dude is really good at teaching that kind of stuff. So strongrootsresources.com. Yeah, no, he's
Yes.
helped me just a little bit, more than a little bit. So yeah,
We got a little bit left to do too.
yeah, we got a lot left to do. I'm pretty excited about it. So what are you up to now?
We're gonna do a wild edible walk when folks are ready.
Right here?
I think I'd like to reconvene back at Todd and Holly. I
Okay.
think we got a couple people up there who would like to go.
All right.
So
So you're gonna meet up there then? All right. So wild edibles. So is that like magic mushrooms and?
yeah, we're gonna get
psilocybin
hooked up.
or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Samples?
Sample, free sample.
Example.
First one's
Everything's
original.
edible once.
Can we get the little green pellets from the rabbits? And try those?
Why not?
These are stuck in my teeth.
Thank you, everybody.
No, thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
How's your day been, Harry?
Pretty good.
I didn't know you were coming. You made me happy. I read something on the Telegram group and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I gotta go home tonight.
No, that's fine.
I wanted to make that.